Hey, I'm Randy Younger, New York City's go to film enthusiast. Every week, I dive deep into the world of cinema with special guests from the New York City film scene. Whether I'm interviewing industry insiders or comparing the latest releases, there's always something for every movie lover. Join me as I explore the magic of film and discover what makes these movies unforgettable. Hey guys, I'm Randy Younger. This is a special episode of Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together one frame at a time. And I have a very special episode as usual, even more special because I got film royalty in the house here, Mr. Evan Ginsberg. Welcome back, sir.
Thanks so much.
Good to see you again.
Great to be back.
Yeah, always a good time to see you, man. And Chris
It's a
Clement.
reunion. It's a Madhouse reunion. It's a
Yes,
Madhouse
yes. So
reunion.
for those who don't know or remember, the three of us basically we started doing this at a lovely studio in Long Island, Madhouse TV. This was the very beginning of my career in broadcasting, thanks to this gentleman here.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you gave me my first start, so that was really great. I'll never forget that. We had a lot of fun at that studio
Oh, yeah.
too. I know you had a lot of crazy guests, a lot of great guests, and I did too. Chris and I, we worked there. We had a 10-minute segment on Evan's show, Legends TV, and it was just a great time. I really do miss those Sundays.
As do I. I'm glad to be
Same
here.
here.
Yeah, we're keeping it alive, actually.
Full circle.
Yes, yes. Keep it going, keep it going. And as usual, we're going to be discussing some films today. Two films that are connected with one another. The first one is currently in theaters. It's called Highest to Lowest. It's the new Spike Lee joint starring Denzel Washington, and it's a lovely thriller remake or reinterpretation of an Akira Kurosawa film from 1963, High and Low. And both films are excellent. Both are, they have a similar themes, similar story about a rich guy whose chauffeur's son gets kidnapped. The kidnappers think it's his son, but they're mistaken. And basically, they're holding this very rich mogul, the person ransom. And basically, it's a moral dilemma. Does he pay the ransom or does he just, not do it? And both films are fantastic. I think Denzel's performance in Highest to Lowest is fantastic.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, one of the best. It might be my favorite of the year so far. And I love Spike Lee. He's been great since the 80s. And Highest to Lowest is no exception here. It's his fifth collaboration with Denzel. And things, take a turn in the film. I'm not going to give anything away really. I just gave you the basic premise, and you've got a great supporting cast too. You've got Jeffrey Wright, who was nominated for an Oscar last year for American Fiction. He's fantastic in this as the chauffeur, and Aesop Rocky is in it. I'm not going to give away his role, but he's actually pretty good in it too. I haven't really seen him in an acting role before, so this was very refreshing. And yeah, it takes place in New York City, which is always a good thing. I love movies that are shot in the city, and this movie has a lot going for it. So, and I know we're going to be discussing it in depth right now. But Evan, first impressions, highest lowest.
I love the performances when Denzel Washington and Jeffrey Wright, two of our greatest living actors, were in scenes together. It was riveting, and when the scenes ended, you could breathe again. That's how intense it was. It felt like great theater. Yeah, the two guys just interacting, and Jeffrey Wright is such a tremendous actor, and he's basically begging for his son's life, and it's very poignant and powerful. And Denzel's character, as is Toshiro Mifune's character in High and Low, at first they don't want to pay the ransom. And so they're not saintly characters, which is interesting in and of itself. And just tremendous performances. I don't think Highest to Lowest is on par with Do the Right Thing or Malcolm X, but it is one of Spike Lee's greatest films. It's comparable The 25th Hour,
Mhm.
Clockers, action films like that. There's
Yeah.
a lot of action in this film as well.
Yeah, it's very, very tight, very taut, and it keeps you guessing. It's sort of a mystery thriller, so you really don't know what direction it's going to go in. But having seen the Kurosawa film, you kind of do know what's going to happen in a weird way. And I love, this movie because basically these are both very good films that examine greed, devotion, and I think above all else, morality. And both films really shine a light on all those things, all those like morally ambiguous themes, very gray areas
Well,
here.
basically, the characters in both films, the leads, it's like if they pay the ransom, they're destroyed.
Yes,
They're used to a certain level of, they're living very high, highest to lowest. They're
right.
living very high.
Mhm.
There's an apartment in highest to lowest. It's like the greatest penthouse ever.
Yeah,
It's overlooking the Manhattan skyline.
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he would have to sacrifice that and everything he has
yeah,
to save. It's not just his employee, it's like a brother to him.
Yeah.
They're very close to save his
Mm.
son. And he's not sure if he wants to do it. That's what makes it so interesting.
yeah.
He really has to think before,
I know, I love it, and I don't think they could have picked a better actor than Denzel to play this part. And Jeffrey Wright was spot on. I think yeah, I don't know who was better, him or Denzel in this movie, but they were both,
apples and oranges.
yeah, they're
Both
great,
great.
great together. Oh, and also no spoilers, guys. You know that already, but yeah. Chris, what are your
Yeah,
first takeaways from Highest to Lowest?
I agree. I really really enjoyed the movie. I just hearing you, Evan, hearing you, Randy. I think you guys probably like it more than I do. I love Kurosawa. He's up there for me. So anything that is compared to his work might just by default go a little bit lower. But that said, I think the strongest element to Spike Lee in this movie are all the performances. It feels like just him on top of his game and just creating a stew of great performances, great acting. And he's really taking the work of Kurosawa to heart. And he's also doing it justice to New York, right? So that second half of the film where Denzel's character actually has to go step away from his penthouse and go into the streets of New York to find Jeffrey Wright's son. Um, it's Spike Lee, making New York yet again another character in his films, and with that, he does such a riveting job at creating that suspense up to the very end. With that, I feel like the first half is probably where Spike struggles a little bit, where he's now confined to just the penthouse. And for me, it was a little bit slower, which is fine. I love a good slow burn film, but to me, it just felt a little bit clunky. The editing felt it didn't land some of the dramatic pulses that it should have. Also, what was very drawing to me, and Randy, you being the score guy that you are, the
Yes.
beginning score, it felt like it was intentionally supposed to go on and almost felt like you were supposed to feel the ins and outs of the trauma that was going on. But to me, it was too stark, it was too in your face, and it cheapened that beginning half for
Mm.
me a little bit. But once we hit that Puerto Rican parade and we're in New York City, I think the film just really shoots off and becomes just a riveting, just pulsating film that really had its great moments.
I
And for
think, yeah,
me,
yeah.
and for me, the performance that really stole the show for me was ASAP Rocky. I thought he was just a firecracker. He really showed his acting chops. Really stood against Denzel, quite a bit, and that it was in the trailer, but the rap battles and the
Mhm.
confrontation back and forth. Denzel held his ground. A$AP Rocky showed his acting chops. I thought that was one of the best scenes of the year, in all honesty.
I
Yeah.
agree. I would have to say that the rat battle
Hmm.
was very unexpected and one probably
Hmm.
maybe the best scene
Hmm.
in the movie. And it was
Hmm.
very intense and it felt like it was actually happening. Really, really
Yeah.
strong scene. And
Yeah.
you mentioned New York being a character, and I couldn't agree with you more. Basically, you've got Denzel on the subway on his way to. I'm not going to say much more, but he's on the subway,
Hmm.
and you've got these Yankee fans that are yelling. They're being loud
Hmm.
and obnoxious. It's a great scene. And I again, any movie that focuses heavily on New York as a location and a character is really it does a good job.
And the soundtrack
Hmm.
is amazing.
Mhm.
You have Eddie Palmieri, who recently passed, one of the great Latin jazz masters,
Right.
and his orchestra is playing at the Puerto Rican Day Parade. And Spike Lee goes back to the Black Caesar soundtrack, James Brown, Big Payback,
Hmm.
etc., so on, and paid the cost to be the boss. I mean, these are great tunes, and it's just driving the movie forward. And
Hmm.
it's one of the great soundtracks in recent years.
That's right.
Hmm. Yeah.
Agreed.
So
Yeah. And
yeah,
to me, I felt like when the movie shifted from score to soundtrack, that sound really, you felt it, you were in there and you were vibing with the whole film. But the score that was leading up to it, it felt a little too in your face a little bit.
Well,
There's score that allows you to, subconsciously feel the flow of the film. And then there's scores that are a little bit more hand feeding, spoon feeding, and that to me, it felt like, he was trying to force an emotion when, clearly we just need to see it. Yeah.
I'm going to sort of disagree with you there because I think you're talking about
Yeah.
the orchestral score by the
Yeah.
composer
Yeah.
Howard Drawson, and everybody
Yeah.
knows that I'm a huge Jerry Goldsmith fan, and Drawson definitely evoked Goldsmith in those scenes where you see the scenes from the perspective of the roof of Denzel's
Mm.
building, the high rise, and you just hear these very pounding, very bass heavy themes going on, especially associated with the cops, which I think
Hmm.
I enjoyed that very much. It might have been a little
Hmm.
heavy-handed, but I thought it was very dynamic and it added a nice layer to the film. Just FYI, my opinion, my opinion.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. No.
You know. But I want to go back to the supporting cast. You also have a very good performance from an actress who I've never really seen before. Uh Ilfenesh Hadera, if I'm pronouncing that right. She plays Denzel's wife in the movie, and I
yeah,
think
she was great.
she's like a moral
Yeah.
compass. She's very grounded.
Yeah.
She wants to find the kid, and I think she adds a nice layer, a nice elegance to the production here. But again, Denzel and Jeffrey are the definite highlights here, and ASAP Rocky for sure. And
Mhm.
now, I think I want to revisit all of Spike Lee's films because I honestly I haven't seen a lot recently. I got to go back and revisit a bunch, especially his '90s thrillers. I did see Inside Man before we started recording this podcast, and that's a great film too. And I'm trying to compare them, but it's kind of hard. They're just both equally great. So
Mhm.
yeah, and I don't know. Are you guys Spike Lee enthusiasts?
Oh yeah, I watch anything he makes. You'll always find something of value, but he's made so many films. Of course, you're going to go from great to just okay. It's
Mhm.
Yeah.
any filmmaker for the most part.
Mhm.
When you look at their filmography, it's going to vary in quality. And some of his recent films were micro budgeted indie films,
Mhm.
so it was a little tougher also.
Yeah.
Red Hook Summer, for example, which I enjoyed. But
Mhm.
again, it's hard to reach the heights of Do the Right Thing. It's just,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
it's
And that movie, I don't even think it was nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture. It was nominated for Best Screenplay for Spike Lee, but it was not
Mhm.
nominated for Best Picture, which I find appalling because that's one of the greatest
yeah,
films ever made.
great.
Yeah.
Um, that lost to
Absolutely.
Driving Miss Daisy, I think, won that year. I mean, another good movie, but not nearly as good as
I
Do the Right Thing.
agree. I agree there.
Yeah.
Um,
It's apples and oranges.
yeah.
Yeah.
And another great film also with Denzel, of course, Malcolm X, which is like what, three, almost 4 hours in length.
I'll tell you a
Hmm.
story about that film I'll never forget.
Mm.
I see it in a theater, and it's a long movie. After the movie's over, I walk to the bathroom, and there's a guy in there sobbing. So I'll never forget it. And he looks at me, and middle-aged African American, he looks at me and he goes, I just lost it. I just lost it. That's the power of movies. The
Yes.
guy's in the bathroom crying his eyes out. I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
And it's very rare to have experiences like that. Recently, I saw Darren Aronofsky's The Whale,
Mm.
and the movie ended, the credits were over, the entire audience just sat there. We were too drained to get up because
Mhm.
the performance was so great that you just couldn't move. You were drained. Same with
Wow.
Before Midnight, Richard Linklater. The couple's marriage implodes, and
Yeah.
we couldn't get out of our seats. We were so drained. There's few and far
Mhm.
between, but Malcolm X, when they gunned him down, spoiler alert, this is history. People know this.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
We know what
yeah,
happened.
There's
it
enough
was
time to pass.
really,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a tough thing to watch. It really was.
If a
Yeah.
movie can evoke that kind of emotion, then it's done
Mm.
its job and then some. I think,
Yeah.
obviously, happy tears are better than sad tears, but if a movie does elicit that, then it's really done its job. So
Yeah.
guys, we
It's a
we
lot of
have
fun.
a couple minutes. I want to touch a little bit on Kurosawa's film.
Mm.
So High to Low. It's basically split up into two halves. It starts
Hmm.
off as a very tight police procedural drama, and then the second
Hmm.
half is kind of almost like dreamlike. The kidnapper, the city and the nightlife, and he goes to a nightclub, and it feels like an entirely different film. And Chris, I believe you said that that's the point, which
Yeah.
makes sense. And honestly, I wish I were more. Like more of a Kurosawa, scholar. I'm a very casual Kurosawa fan, and the man knew what he was doing behind the camera.
Yeah,
He was a
I say, yeah, I think Randy, like you're a purist,
yeah.
with your reviews, you like to see the whole filmography, before actually talking about it.
You recommend
And
all of
I think Kurosawa, like he's not just a phenomenal filmmaker, a master in his craft, but so many other filmmakers, took a cue from Kurosawa. There
Sergio
wouldn't be
Leone.
them.
Sergio Leone, George Lucas, Hidden Fortress. If you
Yeah.
Okay.
ever seen that, there's a lot of Star Wars that's taken from there.
Okay.
Martin Scorsese took a lot. Spike Lee is taking a lot. So like you wouldn't have the auteurs that we have today without Kurosawa. So
And
yeah,
he's one of the greatest filmmakers
yeah,
ever. And that's
ever.
not hype. Rashomon,
No,
Hmm.
Seven Samurai.
yeah,
You study this guy in film
Yeah.
classes, and
yeah,
one of the
yeah,
masters. And High and Low
yeah.
is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
High and Low
He's
is a better film than Highest to Lowest. It really
yes, yeah,
is. It really is.
yeah,
But
yeah,
Because it's
yeah,
original, it's the first time you're actually seeing this story, and it's done in such a way that's
yeah.
impactful.
And like Kurosawa is one of my favorites. Seven Samurai is one of my top five. For a while, it was my number one movie of all time. I love it. It shaped the way that I've not only seen Japanese movie, it shaped how I see Westerns. There wouldn't be a Western genre without
Mhm.
Kurosawa.
Right.
And, a lot of films, you wouldn't have Fistful of Dollars, you wouldn't have The
right,
Magnificent Seven without Kurosawa. So,
exactly.
Wow.
but yeah, but and High to Low is interesting for his own filmography too, because if you see a lot of his films, they're pretty much a lot of them are period pieces from
Right.
the samurai century. High to Low for its time was in modern day, so that was even unique for his own filmography, which is kind of cool to think about. It was an adaptation of The King's Ransom, which I found out he wasn't really a big fan of, so like he actually adapted it, a little bit of pressure, but he kind of liked, I think in a lot of his movies, it's it has to do with moral dilemma, about humanity, and about, a lot of his movies are also about class systems and how, they kind of bleed into one another if there's a moral discrepancy. So here, like, it's a great, testament to that, where you have this very wealthy entrepreneur who has to go down to the bowels, to the street level of the commoners, of the poor, and and have to deal with finding this guy's son. So it kind of talks about that high to low as far as a class system. I think the Japanese translation is heaven to hell.
Right.
That's the title to it. So you can take that for what it's worth too, and that you can take it from, this guy is having all this wealth, and now he's kind of losing it, with the ransom. So just phenomenal. It is two distinct movies. But that was kind of the purpose. From what I've learned is that, like, it was very transformational back in the day, where he kind of he went from a single set piece for the first, half of the movie, and then made the city, and opened it up, in its entirety towards the end. So just a craftsman, at his best. It's a phenomenal movie.
And we were talking
Spike
about
Lee did a great job.
you
Yeah,
were talking about great
yeah,
acting. Toshiro Mifune
Mhm.
is seething in this,
Yeah.
seething.
yeah. Oh my
And
gosh.
he's tremendous, absolutely tremendous, on par with
Yeah.
Denzel and Jeffrey Wright.
He's
I
got
mean,
a got a
yeah.
presence.
Yeah.
Really, really.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
One of the greatest actors ever.
Of course. And I wanted to
Ever.
mention the technical aspects of High and Low are actually very good too. There's a lot of scenes,
Sure.
especially in the first half, where they're tapping the phone, they're trying to trace the call. The blocking, you're seeing all the actors
Oh,
in,
yeah.
in one shot,
Reacting.
and it looked great. It looked like a play, really,
Yeah, yeah.
and they're all just
Mhm.
there, and it really adds to the intensity of the story, which I absolutely love.
Mhm.
Kind of reminds me. I love how hands-on Kurosawa was, kind of like Kubrick. He would
Mhm.
basically produce, edit. I think he wrote too, and
Yeah.
basically had his hand in every aspect of production, which is really great. And I respect that in a filmmaker, because I think a
Yeah.
true filmmaker should have involvement in every process. So
Oh,
no exception
absolutely.
here. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just phenomenal. Like, in all honesty, this was a blind spot with Kurosawa's filmography for me. So I was really excited in the beginning of the year when like, oh, like, highest to lowest. So I get to see this, and it's hard. I like to watch a film a couple times before I say, like, oh, this is like one of my all-time favorites. But I could see High to Low, being one of them, with multiple viewings. So it's hard not to see that in this level of craftsmanship. So
Of course.
yeah.
And also, I wanted to really mention a very random, weird thing and a parallel between High and Low and Wes Anderson. I don't know if you guys remember Isle of Dogs. Basically, the main
Hmm.
character, he's kind of a dictator in that Japanese city. Looks
Hmm.
exactly like Toshiro Mifune.
Hmm.
Like if you go back and watch that movie, they animated this character to look exactly like the boxy
Hmm.
shoulders, the very firm, strict face, very stern look. And
Hmm.
another Wes Anderson correlation was in Rushmore, where Max Fisher puts on a play at the end of the movie. It's a Vietnam epic, and it's called Heaven and Hell, which is
There
basically
you
what
go.
you said, the Japanese translation.
Hmm.
It's a random
Hmm.
thing that just came to mind. But yeah, I,
Hmm.
I would have never thought Kurosawa and Wes Anderson would kind of cross paths like that. But yeah.
Both are
Yeah.
auteurs in their own right, and again, like, you wouldn't have a lot of the auteurs today without Kurosawa's influence. So it
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me.
Spike Lee and the next generation of filmmakers after Kurosawa studied him. I mean, he's
Hmm.
one of the
Hmm.
masters.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah, now I'm gonna go and try to watch as much Kurosawa stuff and Lee stuff as possible, because
Yeah.
they're so different, but they're so amazing.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be good.
Watch Hidden Fortress, and just
Oh,
the
yeah.
parallels between that and Star Wars, like even like, this stick fighting, like
Okay.
I like, oh, that was an influence for lightsabers, like that
Okay.
they can't I'm like, oh, and then you have the princess, you have these two guys that are like wandering the deserts like 3CPO and R2D2. So it's like you get that all there. The transitions between, scenes, it's all there. It's all in the pudding.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
So we have like maybe like a minute or two left, and I just wanted to mention that last night and a couple days ago, last week, I went to the Film Forum, and they basically have a special series right now called Women of Action, I believe it's called, and basically highlighting strong, empowered females on screen. And I saw Aliens special edition, which was fantastic on the big screen. And last night, Terminator 2 Judgment Day in 3D. So just thought I mentioned the Film Forum. They do a lot of great
Fantastic.
great screening series there. So hopefully you guys can
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Film Forum's a great theater.
Yeah. It's been around, I think, since
I think,
1990.
yeah.
It's great.
I remember I had a day off and I was in the city and I went there and
Okay.
I saw a double bill of Paths of Glory and The
Nice.
Killing. And
Nice.
it was a great day.
Good for it. Love it. Good stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And Evan, have you seen anything lately, real quick?
I saw Drive Away Dolls, which is great, wild flick. Don't miss it. And Ethan Cohen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sequel is playing in the theaters right now.
Right. Honey, don't.
Honey Don't.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward
It's
to
it's a direct sequel?
It's a trilogy.
Yeah,
It's a trilogy.
yeah.
Okay.
This is part two. So
Okay.
I think it's
Interesting.
something called like the lesbian thriller trilogy or something like that. Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
wild.
makes sense.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Nice. And
Yeah.
so this is the third time that the Coen brothers have worked together independently. Like they've split up. They basically made a split in I think it was during the pandemic. I think Ethan wanted to focus more on theater and Joel wants to focus more on films. But honestly, from the stuff I've seen from just Joel, I don't think it's as strong as when they're working together because they need to be the Coen brothers, not the Coen brother. You know what I mean? They need to like
Could
find
be.
their voices, and I hope they return to each other because the sibling dynamic is really great because that's some of the
Love it,
greatest
thanks.
films ever made. Chris,
Mhm.
remember
Yeah.
when we went to the Nighthawk and saw that
Yeah.
special Burn After Reading?
Yep. Oh, loved it. Loved it.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's a really weird.
Um, yeah, I mean, I understand. Like, I mean, we were introduced to both of them, together, as the
Right.
brothers. So we ultimately want them to be together. I think I think it's they're doing fine. And I think the movies that are independently done are fine. I mean, I even got the impression with the Julius Caesar movie or the Hollywood movie with George
Oh,
Clooney. That was
Hail
still
Caesar.
them together.
Yeah.
I felt like, it was kind of getting stale after a while anyway,
Right.
but
I
I
agree
mean,
with
the
that.
point is, and Evan, you mentioned that with Spike Lee and stuff, like to bat 1,000 every single time, that's hard to do. Like look at your Clint Eastwoods and Woody Allen's and like and every like it's hard to keep that like
Woody
it's
Allen's
just
made like 100 movies, so they're
right,
not all going
right.
to be Annie Hall.
Right,
Right.
right,
Right.
right. And like, in between you get a Midnight in Paris and or a Blue Jasmine, which is great. So like you just gotta be thankful that they're working and that they're producing, that they're able to still have movies in theaters and you take the good with the bad. So
Yeah.
I'm just happy that, we're still getting stuff from them. So yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
true. Yeah, I just hope we get
Yeah.
I hope they work together again. All right. Well, gentlemen, I'm so sorry to cut this short. This is amazing, but you know what? We'll be back again. We'll have another conversation. We could talk
Yeah.
for days, for weeks. It's gonna be good.
Speaking of films,
Smashing Machine.
Check out my
Especially.
book, Wrestling Rings, Blackboards, and Movie Sets. I was associate producer and acted with Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler, and we talk about the making of The Wrestler. You'll
Yes.
enjoy it.
This is your man for wrestling trivia, for wrestling history. This is the man for that.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. Chris, any plugs for you, sir?
I'm doing reading for the Austin Film Festival, so I'm reading scripts and part of that. So that's coming up in late October. So a shout out to the Austin Film Festival. Yeah.
All right. As for me, you can check out Under the Radar on Slam Radio through SiriusXM channel 145. That's Thursdays and Saturdays. Also, the video version of the podcast can be seen on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, MNN, and that's every Monday at 11 a.m. And as always, feel free to subscribe to the Under the Radar YouTube channel and to share the love. So, Evan and Chris, thank you so much for your time
Thank
today.
you.
This
Thank
was
you.
fun, as
Thank
always.
you.
Yeah, and I'm
Great
Randy
team as
Younger.
always.
Yes, you guys are always welcome. Know that. So I'm Randy Younger. This has been Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together, one frame at a time. We'll see you next time. Take care.